Chapter 4. The Green Fairy. Académie Julian had the look of an antique shop and the smell of his grandparents' home. From the outside, its columned facade resembled a downsized acropolis, plucked from Greece, transplanted to a Paris backstreet, and painted the shade of marble that existed only in the minds of Beaux-Arts traditionalists. Inside, the rooms were cold, perhaps deliberately, to keep the antiquity preserved. Vincent, wrapped in a thick corduroy coat, took his place at the farthest reach of the drafty hall beneath the skylight. The diffused gray light softened no one, least of all him. Before him, a silent army of students hunched at their easels, sketching with obedient precision. The walls were lined with plaster relics, a headless Greek athlete, a Roman senator's disapproving frown, severed feet, pleading hands, and dozens of naked forms, young and old, fat and thin, lit so starkly by the overhead fixtures that they appeared like ghosts waiting to be summoned. The instructor, hair in a pomade, a needle-thin goatee, and the unmistakable gait of a man accustomed to being feared, drifted among them. His frock coat-tails swished behind him like a pendulum, marking the seconds until judgment. "Gentlemen," he intoned, "observe the structure. We do not interpret what we see, we record it. Clean, simple, precise. Your lines must be obedient to form." Charcoal scratching resumed, the sound like a den of mice behind the walls. "Capture the ideal form," he added softly as he passed, "untouched by life's imperfections." Vincent's hand, of course, knew only imperfections. His strokes were too fast, too searching. The plaster bust before him, the Greek god, was becoming something else entirely. Hollow-eyed, gaunt, desperate. Less Olympus, more Bornage. The instructor halted behind him. "Monsieur Van Gogh," the instructor said at last, his voice low and cutting. "What is this?" Silence fanned across the cold room. One student coughed, then froze. A few heads tilted, sensing blood in the water. Vincent lifted his eyes. "It is what I see." "That," the instructor said, stabbing a finger toward the drawing, "is not what is before you. It is what you see when you take off the blindfold," Vincent replied, setting his charcoal down with a soft clack. A murmur circulated in the room. The instructor's jaw snapped shut. "Blindfold?" "Yes," Vincent said, heat flaring in his cheeks. "Life is imperfect. Men are imperfect. Art should be imperfect, if it is to be honest. Otherwise, you embalm the canvas with a fiction of the past." All students froze mid-stroke. "Embalm the canvas?" the instructor repeated, each syllable dipped in disdain. "Monsieur Van Gogh, we are not undertakers, nor are we medical students," the instructor continued sharply, raising his voice so the entire hall heard. "And this," he swept his arm over Vincent's sketch while the others watched, "this grotesque interpretation is not art. It is not even discipline. It is indulgence." A few students got up to view this grotesque, while the instructor raised his arm and index finger. "Go. Back to your seats." Now, they did so. "You ask us to copy statues carved by dead men," Vincent said, as if their forms were truth itself. But truth lives in the people outside these walls. The baker with his weary back, the laundress with her red, cracked hands. A face like this, he tapped his sketch, exists among the living. The instructor stepped closer, his shadow swallowing the sketch. "You will paint what you are told to paint. You will see as you are taught to see. Or you will find the door." The room held its breath. Vincent met his gaze. Seeing as someone else dictates, he said quietly, is not seeing at all. The instructor's lips peeled back in a controlled, elegant sneer. Then perhaps, Monsieur Van Gogh, you would be happier elsewhere. He did not wait for an answer. He pivoted sharply, moving on to praise a nearby student's flawless, absolutely lifeless bust, his voice suddenly warm, approving, performative. Vincent stared at his drawing, charcoal trembling in his fingers. He swallowed hard, lifted the charcoal, and made another imperfect, honest stroke. 3 easels down sat a man in an aristocrat's smock, a bowler hat perched atop the thatch of dark hair, with a neatly trimmed beard and mustache, and the spectacles on his nose made him appear as a banker. At every flare of Vincent's quarrel with the instructor, the man paused, only for the span of a breath, long enough for a small, knowing smile to crease his beard. Then, without hurry or allegiance, he returned to his work. His pencil moved lazily, as if he possessed all the time in Paris. Without looking up, he nudged his spectacles higher with the edge of his knuckle and continued shading the model's jawline. Utterly untroubled. No frown, no sigh, only that faint, knowing smirk that said he'd seen better fights and worse painters. That night, Vincent sat opposite the bespectacled man at Le Chat Noir, Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec's favorite haunt in Montmartre. The café was thick with smoke and louder than the street outside. Painters, poets, and professional idlers argued in overlapping voices, while waiters with weary expressions threaded through the throngs with trays of drink. For a man barely over 4.5 feet tall, Toulouse-Lautrec managed to dominate the conversation, table and room. His voice carried like a brass bullhorn, his wit like a whip. Women leaned in when he spoke. Whether for laughter or fear of insult was anyone's guess. "You need liberation, Vincent," Lautrec declared, waving a hand as though shooing away flies. "Liberation from those academic fossils. They'll keep you sketching severed feet for 5 years until you forget people have heads at all." A waiter appeared. Lautrec made a gesture as discreet as a spy's signal, and the man vanished without a word. "Well," Vincent shrugged, "they don't look at the work. They look at the lines." "I look at the dance hall lines and shudder at their length," Lautrec barked, raising a fist. "I do so wish they had marble thighs in that academy. Gorgeous legs frozen mid-kick doing the can-can. That's something worth sketching." The waiter returned with a tray arranged like an experiment. Tall, fluted glasses half filled with brown liquid, a pewter pitcher of cold water, 2 folded napkins, slotted spoons, and a bowl of sugar cubes. Vincent raised an eyebrow. "Tea? Let me introduce La Fée Verte, the green fairy." Lautrec slid a glass toward him, balanced the sugar cube on a slotted spoon above the flute, and dripped water through it until the brown liquid below transformed into clouds of pale jade haze. "She will show you colors you've never seen," he hissed. Vincent leaned closer, entranced. "Alchemy." Henri stands up, which brought him to the same height as when he was sitting, banging his glass with a knife, and shouted for the room's attention. People looked around and could not see where the commotion was coming from, which prompted him to stand on his chair. "Oh, there he is," someone shouted. Laughter erupted. "I want to announce a new artist, to our strange collection in Paris. Meet a man from the Netherlands, Vincent Willem van Gogh. The room murmured with people looking at each other with confused expressions and an attempt to pronounce his last name. "Come on, people. Just call him Vincent," answered Lautrec, banging on his glass. "He is not as yet a great artist, like me," he bellowed to the snickering room. "No, but after his first green fairy, we will see." The room cheers and returns to their conversation as Henri sits down. "To new colors," Lautrec declared, lifting his glass and draining half in one swallow. Vincent followed, the drink burning his throat and spreading fire through his chest. He grimaced, but managed a thin smile. "You'll like her soon enough," Lautrec promised. "She's patient. She's also a little mad. Vincent, can you join me and a few other mad people for a dinner party in 2 nights? Oh, you must come. The food, wine, and frivolity will be second to none." By the second round, Vincent wasn't sure if it was patience or madness, but the lights of the cafe had grown brighter, colors more insistent. Conversations overlapped like musical counterpoint. He spoke with ease now, his words flowing free of hesitation. They talked of Degas' ballerinas, of Pissarro's gardens, of Claude Monet's influence, Manet's vision, and how beignets taste, how Paris was like a snake, forever molting, but always the same skeleton underneath. And then, "Hello, Vincent." The voice was clear as if whispered at his ear. He snapped his head left, then right. "You can't see me, brother," it said, "but I am here, free at last, with you." Vincent's hand clenched his glass. Lautrec cocked his head. "You look pale, Van Gogh. Not feeling well?" Vincent forced a smile. "I think the green fairy has paid me a visit."